And there is a reason that we have centuries of, you can fix this pain, you don't have to feel this bad. Like there are
Yeah.
reasons that we've built so many edifices against feeling this because it is so painful and so hard, right? But instead of finding ways to care for ourselves and care for each other in the depths of this, I mean, as a culture historically, have tried to pretend it doesn't happen. And if you are destroyed, then you're doing it wrong. That's not what being human is. This is part of love. Being destroyed is part of love. It's a really hard part. Reading can be really difficult, but and I'm not sure if it's on audio, but The Grieving Brain from Mary Frances O'Connor is really helpful. It's not the same flavor as my work, but this is literally the way that our brains work. Of course, you are reaching for her. That is a neurological connection that has been laid down over 21 years, right? If you think like in hiking terms, this is a well-paved path. Her not being there is bushwhacking through a wilderness you have never seen before. Of course you reach for her. And this is what early grief is like, right? Like everything is flaying you alive. Everything. So going back to sleep for a minute, it is not unusual to not be able to sleep. That's not a comfort. That's just like there's nothing other people are doing that you're not able to do, right? So it's not that. It is true that not being able to sleep makes it really hard to have any sort of stabilizers for anything. It makes it really hard to function if your body isn't getting any rest, which can feel like added pressure. Everything
Yes.
is harder. So, doing the things that set you up, such strange phrasing when your person just died, but the things that set you up for success in terms of sleep. There are some basics that we know, right? Avoiding caffeine, avoiding a heavy meal before you lie down, the basics of sort of sleep hygiene. Doing the pieces of that that feel within reach. And knowing that even doing all of that stuff, sleep may not come. If you can't sleep, rest might be the thing you can access. What would rest look like? Sometimes rest is watching a movie that you kind of zone out to. So do what you can to set yourself up for sleep and don't stress too much when enough sleep doesn't come. That's much easier said than done. But just don't add to, here's another thing that I can't do, right? Changing that narrative, instead going like, yeah, it is really hard for me to sleep. And knowing that this would be 1 degree less hard if I could, that makes it even more stressful. Is there anything that would feel restful to me right now if I can't sleep? Right. So if we broaden things out from sleep to rest, that might open up some more options. And even though the circumstances are different, you might find that some of the tools for insomnia can be adapted for here, now, and this. For example, one of the things that they say about insomnia is, if you're awake at 2 o'clock in the morning, get up, get up, right? If you're lying in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, stressing about what tomorrow is going to be like if I don't sleep, that is not conducive to rest, right? So being able to the best of your ability, interrupt the added suffering on top of it. I'm awake at 2 o'clock in the morning. If I don't get some sleep, tomorrow is going to be even worse. That part is like added suffering. It's sort of grinding into the reality. You might experiment with some things. When I find myself awake at 2 o'clock in the morning, what can I do? What are my options for myself? Right? I think it's really, really easy to feel like fucked is the only option. And while that is one of the options, it's not usually the only one available. Yeah. So we go back to sort of where we started. If we can slow down that moment so that you can ask yourself, what are some other things that are available to me right now if I can't sleep? I remember a more distant family member who was a therapist asking me a couple months after Matt died, what are you most looking forward to? Like in that like earnest, I'm a therapist thing. And I went, bedtime. That horizon line is very, very short. Stay within your own horizon line. It is okay that the second you wake up, you are counting down the seconds until you can clock out again. That is healthy. That is an appropriate response to this level of pain. Given that I am awake and I have so many hours that I need to get through, what would feel most kind, most gentle, most nourishing, whatever language feels right for you? What do I need to get through these next 12 hours? If 12 hours is too many, shrink that timeline down to something that feels like it's manageable. Sometimes that is 60 seconds. So rest, not sleep. Try to interrupt those thoughts that say this is not the right way to do this, because however you are doing this is the right way to do this. You've never had to do this before. So it is all an experiment. It is a shitty experiment, but it is all an experiment. If you want some validation and support for reaching for your wife when you wake up, that is a very normal thing, check out Mary Frances O'Connor, The Grieving Brain, and look into some of the tools for working with insomnia, knowing that you will have to adapt the language to where you are.